The chair would entertain a motion to leave closed session into open session.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion to go from closed session to open session. Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. The Iredell-Statesville Board of Education is now in regular session. It is our policy to begin our meetings with a moment of silence in which board members, staff, guests may privately reflect in their own way on the business of this meeting, our children. So please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. At this time, our colors will be presented by the National Championship South Iredell Marine Junior ROTC. Please stand. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. If that doesn't make you proud to be an American and proud of our young generation, I don't know what would. Hoorah. Before we move into our agenda, I would like to. We got to do a hearing first. Wow. Okay. Throwing me off here. This time we're going to open a public hearing on our budget. We will welcome comments on our budget. Understand we do not have the state budget yet, so therefore the budget that we're discussing is very limited in what we'll know at this point in time due to no state budget. Mr. Johnson, would you give us the highlights of the budget, please?
Yes. I'm going to ask Melissa White to step to the mic, too, to assist me in this. Tonight, we did distribute copies out front of the memo that was dated March the 14th, 2018. This is the memo that we traditionally send to the county commissioners through their manager, the acting Iredell County manager, Beth Jones. If you look at this document, you can see that a lot of this is based on our best guess at what we think will happen in Raleigh over the coming weeks. So much of the information that you see here is speculative on our part, but we have tried to do the best possible job we could in estimating what we think our revenue stream will be and what our needs will be. On the second page of that memo, you will see we have broken down this year's local current expense funding request into 3 different categories. There is a category at the top of the page that is called mandated local expense increases. They include 5 different items. We have built in raises that we anticipate the General Assembly is going to be giving to state employees. Our best guess is that may be a 3% increase for our certified staff and a 2% increase for our classified staff. A lot of people ask the question, why do you put state raises into the local budget? And the answer to that is very simple. Not all of our employees are state employees. Some of our employees are paid for out of federal dollars, and some are paid for out of local dollars. In our school systems, we have a tradition that if the state of North Carolina gives a raise, that we try to make sure that raise touches all of the employees, regardless of what pot of money they're paid from. The second item is our charter school growth. In North Carolina, the way charter school funding is set up, the money that we get from the county commissioners for charter schools passes through the school system. So we get that revenue stream from our county commissioners. We pass it on to the charter schools on a per pupil basis. Number 3, we've lost some of our budget flexibility. In years past, our CFO did an excellent job of moving funds from one pot of money to another pot of money. The General Assembly has taken away some of that flexibility, and with the loss of that flexibility, Ms. White has lost the ability to save some money to generate a revenue stream. So about $205,000 will be lost because of that lack of flexibility. Our central office budget is being cut this year by the General Assembly. We had projected it would be $41,000. It's now looking like it's going to be about a $30,000 cut to our central office, but we have to deal with that and put that into our budget. We also have just the normal operation of the schools. You know, things like insurance premiums go up, light bills go up, things of that nature. So the mandated items, those 5 items total $1.2 million. That is a 3.4% increase that we need just to maintain and stay even. What we've been told is that our local budget increase is going to be somewhere in the range of about 2% per child, and so that does leave us a gap of about 1.4% that we've got to find somewhere within the budget. Another option the board would have would be to use some of your fund balance next year. The second category that you see on your worksheet there is discretionary local expenses. These are things that were identified by the Budget Committee back in February that we would like to add to our local budget. Just very quickly, 2 maintenance positions, an I-Academy coordinator, the expiration of the Oak grant, which pays for a instructional facilitator at Union Grove School, some online student registration software, a mechanic at the bus garage, and then those miscellaneous items that total $112,000 are on the 3rd page of your handout. And you can see that they include things like band instrument leases, athletic support for middle schools, an increase for our coaches in their supplement, the Leader in Me, some new training at one of our schools. The lease for space for the I-Academy is included there, but we have already identified space at Northview IB where we can put that elementary IB program, so that $10,000 can come off. We're also losing some grant funding from Lowe's that will not be available to us next year. The last item that we would like to request increases has to do with student services and security needs at our schools. Many years ago, we did cut our SAP program, which is mental health workers in our middle and high schools. We would love very much to bring those positions back, particularly in light of all of the school violence that you're seeing and the challenges facing our youth today. We would also like to expand our school resource officers so that more schools did have school resource officers. And we have identified some bullying and social media monitoring software that we'd like to put in place next year. So the expansions in that category are $821,000. The total request was $2.5 million, or 6.9%. And as I said, it looks like the revenue increase from the commissioners is going to be in the range of about 2%. So we're recommending to the board that we, of course, have to do the mandates, but the discretionary and the student services and safety may not be in our realm of possibility this school year. I'll turn it over to Ms. White and see if there's anything she'd like to add.
No, sir, you've covered it. Does the board have any questions that I can answer?
Well, we answered most of the questions in May when we had a discussion about the budget. We've cut it back to kind of deal with the lack of funding that we've got. Thank you. Are there anyone would like to approach and speak on the budget? If not, then this hearing is over. We'll move on to our regular board agenda. Before we move into our agenda, I'd like to clarify our public sign-up procedure to be more aligned with our policy, but to allow everyone to speak that would like to. Anyone wishing to speak, please sign up in the back. When we open our public comments, there'll be no additional sign-ups. While we welcome our board, the board welcomes our shareholders' views. Please remember, comments should not be slanderous or personal in nature. The board does not usually respond to any public comments. To be fair to everyone, it will be limited to 3 minutes or a total of 30 minutes. Mr. Johnson, board members, are there any changes to the agenda?
Mr. Page, we do have one adjustment. You have a copy of the agenda item I. It's the approval of contracts for licensed personnel, school-based, and district administrators. We would like to add that to your agenda tonight. This includes the contracts for our teachers, assistant principals, and principals. And we would like to respectfully pull the section on that last page of your handout for our central office folks and bring that back to you in June.
So you're asking to put this on consent?
That would be my recommendation, but you have the option to put it either
Subject
place.
to the board discussion?
Yes.
Or you consent? We've already been over all these several times. Any other changes to the agenda? If not, Chair would entertain a motion to pass the agenda as amended.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion second to approve the agenda as amended. Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Carries unanimously. Thank you. At this point, we will move into our non-consent agenda. Our consent agenda, which includes school nutrition plan, CTE local plan, facilities use agreements for churches, acceptance, resignation, retirements, rehires, termination, leaves, approval of classified personnel, approval of licensed personnel, approval of administrative appointments, and approval of reinstated personnel, and Mr. Johnson's request that we go ahead and include teacher and school-based administrative contracts. Is there any questions on any of this before we vote on our consent agenda? We'll also be voting on the, excuse me.
Do we have to vote on accepting a new agenda?
We did.
Okay.
Yeah, we voted. It was approved. Yeah. We will also include in this vote approving the minutes. At this time, the chair would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda with minutes.
So moved. Second, Mr. Chairman.
I have a motion and a second to approve consent agenda, including minutes. Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Consent agenda, including minutes, has been unanimously approved. Thank you very much. At this point, we will move to the non-consent agenda. I'm sorry, recognitions will be next. Ms. Weiberg, can you fight your way through the crowd? This is great. Wish we had people all the time, this many people here.
That's what I said last meeting, didn't I? Look, they must have listened. I said, come to the board meeting, see?
Well, this is the second year that the Statesville Record and Landmark and the Morrisville Tribune have honored students through their Incredible Teens contest. 15 Iredell County young people who stand out as caring, honest, and respectful members of our community were honored at a dinner at the Charles Mack Center. 10 of these wonderful students were ours. Each of the winners received a medallion and certificate, and 8 were awarded $1,000 scholarships. We're very proud of these students for being nominated, but we are even more proud that they exhibit these very kind and human characteristics. So I'm going to call the names, and if you're here, would you please come up front? Tushna Edelji from South Iredell High School, Julia Eldridge from Statesville High School, Nautica Goodson, West Iredell High School, Taylor Castor, South Iredell High School, Tyler Kidd, South Iredell High School, Lydia McLean, South Iredell High School, Peyton Medich, Statesville High School, Rakeem Sharp, Statesville High School, Emily Walls, West Iredell High School, and Rosalind Wilkinson from West Iredell High School. Is that it for everybody? Congratulations, you guys.
Yeah, I think you got one coming up.
One, two. My grandson first. He didn't make the cut. 2 from senior high, 3 from senior high. 1, 2, 3 from West.
Oh, this is so fun. Several years ago, Mr. Johnson asked to start meeting with high school students to use them as a focus group. We call it the Superintendent's Advisory Council. He wanted to hear what was going on at their schools and just generally get together over a meal and talk. This year marked the 3rd year we have enjoyed this Superintendent's Advisory Council. So a junior and a senior from each of our high schools is selected by the principal to be the representative. Juniors from the previous year would be the senior class rep the following year, and then new juniors are selected to serve. For about 90 minutes, 3 or 4 times per academic year, Mr. Johnson would listen to the students, have guest presenters for these students, or just have a burning question to throw out to this group for feedback. It was the best day ever. Our students have learned so much about the operation of our district, and Mr. Johnson heard directly from the students. So this year's participants included, and if you guys are here, please come up front. Justin Fox and Patchia Bright from Crossroads Early College, Kiana Turner and Michael York from CCTL, Solomon Shoemaker from ASIC, which is our new early college up at North Iredell High School, Nina Christensen and Emily Warren from Lake Norman High School, Hunter Tharp and Santana Mendoza from North Iredell High School, Thomas Meyer and Grace Marshall, South Iredell High School, Nikki Karamian and Kayla Wright, Statesville High School, Brianna Sanner and Michael Ashley, West Iredell High School, and Jack Borders and Holland Proudfoot from Presley. So, this is the group we had lunch with several times a year. And boy, are they honest. It's a great group, and it was just the best. Thanks, you guys.
While these folks are stepping up, I want to just simply say that I think this was the second or third year that we've had a superintendent's advisory council. And rule number 1 is don't ever ask them a question if you're not prepared to get a brutal answer back. They will be extremely honest. Here, I tell folks this gets a little bit better every year as we learn how to navigate, engage, discuss, and whatnot. There were 2 topics this year that were particularly important to our district that these young people took the lead on and really helped us out tremendously. One of them was the refresh of our devices, our computers. A person my age and with my skills should not be making decisions about technology for young people. But this group took the lead on that effort for us and went out and solicited input from their peers and actually came and did a presentation for the Board of Education on that. And so we were successful in refreshing our devices and actually expanding those devices down to the elementary level. The other exciting project that they took on for us was after the Parkland shooting down in Florida. We pulled this group of kids together and we said, look, the opinions are all over the place as to how the school system should respond to that. And so we took a lot of advice and took the lead from these folks on how each of our high schools should prepare for that day and what should roll forth to represent our district. And we got a lot of accolades from the community and even people outside of our community with the way our students represented us and responded to that very tragic event. I'm going to miss these guys tremendously. They have certainly been a benefit to me personally and to our district at large. And I can't wait to see what's going to happen to them in their future. They are leaders in every sense of the word. So look for big things to come from these kids as they move on into their careers. Thank you.
This just keeps on going. Did Diane Ryman make it tonight? Darn her. But Leanne Hall is here from Scotts Elementary. And thank you. Yeah, at the end. Hold on, because I have to read this. My eyes are all fuzzy. Thank you. Okay. How does one describe Diane Ryman? So I'm going to let her work speak for itself. Diane was a longtime art teacher in our district, retiring from South Iredell High School a couple of years ago. She was instrumental in creating the Village at South High, where those amazing instructors have created a world unto themselves, leading their students down a most creative path. The Art Village at South High is renowned. In March, Scotts Elementary School was thinking ahead to their upcoming visit by the Regional A-plus Schools Consortium, which that was happening on April 12th. Scotts Elementary is an A-plus arts integrated school celebrating the arts in every aspect of their curriculum. Their media center was the perfect place for a mural celebrating art and encouraging reading. They needed help. Diane Ryman answered the call. She took an initial trip to Scotts, met with the staff, and that's all it took. The next note I received from Diane was one with a sketch and the words, "I'm tossing around the idea of doing a whimsical play on Van Gogh's Starry Night with accents of books." Just what I would have said. I encourage everyone to head to Scotts Elementary School as soon as they can and see what came out of this tossed around idea. 2 8x8 panels of whimsical beauty. After she hung the mural, and Leanne Hall's staff met her there on a Sunday to do this, Diane completely prepared the art lesson for every 5th grade student by preparing wooden circles for them to paint and sign, which became a part of the mural now. These final steps were done just days before the visit by the A-plus group, but it was done. She is as amazing in retirement as she was as one of our art instructors, and I'm so happy she is my friend and neighbor and critic. So she is not here, so I will have to run this certificate up to her, but I wanted you to see the panels that she did. There are 2. Can you kind of scroll down a bit, Kels?
I'm going to have to do them one by one, Susie.
Okay.
Can we do the other one?
Yeah. And those, she painted them in her art barn, and she painted them on 4x8 sheets of plywood, and then took them to the school and mounted them, and they are absolutely gorgeous. So, where is Leanne? There you are. Do you want to say anything about it, or anything about your school, or anything, or no?
We just appreciate the opportunity to connect with Diane, and we appreciate Susie for helping us make that happen, and just all the support that went with that. She only asked for a few dollars
For supplies.
And I would just be conservative to say that what was rendered is worth thousands.
Oh.
So we just are so thankful and grateful. It brightened up in sort of a dark spot in our media center, and it also encourages reading, which is one of our major goals. We appreciate all the help and support.
Oh, it's beautiful. In case of fire, grab the murals. Well, so this next group doesn't really need any introduction since we saw how they were at the very beginning of the meeting. The mission of the Marine Corps Junior Reserve Officers Training Corps is to instill in all cadets a sense of citizenship, community service, self-discipline, respect for authority, personal responsibility, leadership, self-esteem, and service to the United States. On April 21st in Gray, Tennessee, the cadets from South Iredell High School made their community proud by being named the 2018 National Drill Champions. Of the 255 Marine Corps JROTC programs in the United States, the South Iredell Drill Team was one of 15 schools to qualify and compete for the honor of National Drill Champion. Competition included teams from Hawaii, Texas, New Mexico, South Carolina, Massachusetts, and many other states. Preparation for this competition started in August of 2017 as these cadets vowed to return after a 9th place finish that year. The cadets spent countless hours practicing, often arriving on campus in the darkness of early morning to practice for an hour before school began. Their regiment consisted of routines of armed platoon, unarmed platoon, color guard, and exhibition drill. The focus of their practice was on the smallest details, as we saw this evening. Prior to nationals, they competed in several other drill meets for the region, determined to return to nationals this year. Winning this, it's indescribable, the cadets said. All the hard work was worth it. Lieutenant Colonel Rogers and Master Sergeant Michael Fisher both agree it has been our honor and privilege to be a part of such an amazing team and family. Well, gentlemen, it is our honor to have you and your students representing us. That was very impressive.
I don't know if she got one or not. Is there a certificate?
There's. Could I have I'm going to ask our two veterans if they'll hand them the certificate, Mr. Gain and Mr. Howell.
Oh, do you have a grasp?
Interrupt you 1 second. Mr. Chairman, if you'd like to see this wonderful band of soldiers, if you'll come to the 14th Annual Troutman Independence Day Parade in June, they will be our honor guard, as I have been in the past few years, but they will be National Champions honor guard this year. So on behalf of the town Troutman and my job as chairman, come see them again. Thank you, gentlemen.
That's
and ladies.
Marines.
Gentlemen and ladies.
Be Marines, not soldiers.
Sorry, Marines. Protectors of our flag.
That'll be hard to beat there.
I know. That's why I saved the little kids and the puppies till the end.
I got you.
The Superintendent's Art Show covers all age levels in our district. And previously, the board recognized the winners from high school and middle school. And tonight, we are honoring the efforts of the elementary students and their amazing art teachers. And I think we have some of our elementary art teachers here tonight. And if you are an elementary art teacher, would you please stand up? They might be here for other reasons, too. There she is. Megan Shook and Chris Furry. The winning works have been on display at the Unity Center during our Elementary Art Show month. It is now officially an art show month. And now they will go into a year-long rotation among 3 of our educational buildings, Race Street, ADR, and Unity. So thank you, you guys, because you are pretty amazing, and it was a pretty amazing art show. So we, I think, have quite a few of our elementary winners here tonight, so when I call your name, if you would please come up here, and Mr. Johnson has a whole pile of certificates that you're going to need to help him sort through, okay? We divided into kindergarten and first grade compete against each other, second and third grade compete against each other, and fourth and fifth grade. Seems a little more fair that way. First place for the K first grade is Caden Wilson from Third Creek. Second place for kindergarten first grade is Landon Hunter from Woodland Heights. And third place, Mary Christensen from Woodland Heights Elementary. Oh, here we go. Try and keep them up there for a picture. You can go on up there. Go. You okay? Okay. The second and third grade, first place, Luke Johnson from Central Elementary. Second place, Elijah Klein from Cottle Creek. Third place, Cadence Giroux, Woodland Heights. And an honorable mention of Amelia Barnhart from Troutman Elementary. The fourth and fifth grade first place winner is Ava Sinos from Cottle Creek. Second place is Julia Morrison from Celeste Hinkle. Third place is Oneida Morales from Harmony. And we have 2 honorable mentions, Allison Lemieux from Troutman Elementary and Zoe Larkin from Third Creek Elementary.
If they don't, that won't money in the budget. That'd be above budget.
At this time, Mr. Johnson, you will recognize Cottle Creek. Before you do, we have got some empty seats up here, folks, where our Marines have left from. Please feel free to come in and sit. We've got a lot of people standing. I'm getting tired just looking at you standing. So.
Some are feeling free to leave.
Yeah, yeah. That's who should be here.
Skills USA
Yeah.
Cap.
Could be. All right, Mr. Johnson, I believe you want to recognize Cottle Creek Elementary.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Page. Is Susan Fail with us tonight? You got some of your staff with you, Ms. Fail? Yes. Why don't you bring them up front here? And Ms. Fail, if you'll go to the microphone. And you guys line up so we can take your picture too. Ms. Fail. Ms. Fail, why don't you go to the microphone and help me out with this? Right there? Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Both of you ladies, if you'll. Yeah, there we go.
You know she doesn't mind talking.
Okay.
That's
Our
good.
group.
That's good.
Look at our group.
Wow.
They make me proud. This is our moment. There.
All righty. Mr. Page and members of the Board of Education, tonight we would like to celebrate with these fine folks that you see here in front of you. This is the faculty and staff and students and friends of Cottle Creek Elementary School, and their official title now is an IBO World School. So congratulations to this group. Approximately 3 years ago, this dedicated group of educators began a journey in pursuit of IBO World Certification. This process required numerous hours of study, planning, and preparation on the part of every member of the faculty and the staff, as well as the students and the parents. This spring, the school hosted a site visit from the IB organization. That team spent 2 full days on the campus examining documentation, interviewing staff members, students, parents, and district administrators. Several weeks ago, we received notification. They got their feedback report, and it was outstanding. Cottle Creek Elementary School is now certified as the 4th IB program in the Iredell-Statesville schools, and it is the first primary year program in the history of Iredell County. We would like to congratulate this group of dedicated educators and celebrate the branding of Cottle Creek Elementary School as an IBO World organization. Again, congratulations. And Ms. Fail, I'm going to turn it over to you now. I can't see you, but tell us a little bit about your journey.
I think the one thing I want to make sure that everyone understands is it's commitment from the staff, our students and parents, because it's not been easy. But when you have the right people on staff, on board, and they're bought in, they worked hard, and it shows. For IB authorization, we have to show evidences of 73 standards and practices. And when we got our report back, we were green in all those practices. So, and it's not just a quick report. They met with every person on staff, parents, students, and they checked out every room, the folders. And with me, Amy Johnson, she's doing the Amy Jordan. Sorry, I'm looking at Amy Johnson's kids. She did the work not only as an instructional facilitator, because the work had to keep going, but she did the work also as our IB coordinator, and without her, none of us would be here. So I want to acknowledge that, too. Anything else?
Wasn't
okay. Normally I'm long-winded. I can keep going, but yeah, let's get a picture.
All right, I'm going to invite the school board to come up and get on the corners with this group and be part of this picture.
I need a light. Can't see. Oh, there you go. Hey, thank you.
And Mr. Page, I'd like to remind everybody that this Thursday, I believe at 10 o'clock, we will be having a ribbon cutting down at Cottle Creek Elementary School, so we hope that lots of people... Friday at 9:30, thank you. This Friday, 9:30 at Cottle Creek, so please join us if you can. I'd also like to remind everybody that here in the Statesville community, Cloverleaf Elementary School is in the same process. So we hope that in about 18 months, we're going to be bringing that group in to share some news about the expansion here in the Statesville community of the IB program. Thank you.
Thank you, and congratulations to all of them. That's been a lot of hard work for those teachers. We appreciate all they do for our children. Mr. Williams, you got Skills USA.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Tonight, I'm very proud and honored to recognize some of the great achievements of our students. And tonight, we'll recognize students from CATS, and we'll also recognize students from West Iredell High School who recently competed in the North Carolina Skills USA state competition and won. So if you've never been to this competition, it was conducted every April at the Greensboro Coliseum and also the Joseph A. Curry Convention Center. It's pretty impressive, and what's even more impressive is our students usually come home as winners. So I'd like to recognize, and Mr. Rogers, the principal at CATS, is here tonight. I'll ask for his assistance if he'd come on up. Many of his winners. Go ahead. So, first category we want to recognize winners is Automotive Technology Division, and we had a second place winner in collision repair, and Mr. Michael Welburn, if you'd come up. In auto body refinishing, we had a first and second place winners. First place winners went to Mr. Grant Hastings. And second place to Mr. Ryan Tim. Want to recognize Mr. Michael Bowman. He's their advisor and a collision repair instructor. What's so impressive about Mr. Bowman is he just started working with us right before Christmas time. So he's done an outstanding job educating these young folks tonight. Second award was in motorcycle service technology. Second place winner, Mr. Reese Hoover. And then we also had a fourth place winner in that division, and that was Mr. Zach Troutman. I don't know if Mr. Fox, but Mr. Shane Fox was the advisor for that. Is Mr. Fox here? Okay, we'll get his certificate to him. Moving on to fire safety, we had a fifth place winner in Ryan Hall. I'd like to recognize his advisor, Mr. Gerald Clodfelder. So, moving on to the nail care. We really swept this out. I'd like to recognize all of these students. We had a first, second, third, and fourth place winner. So we took everything. First place was Jada, excuse me. So I'm going to mess this up. Zamari. Did I say that right? Zarmani. I just got coached on this, and I still messed it up. Zarmani. Boy, this is even worse. Doesn't get any better. Second place winner is Kyang Yang. Did I say that right? I said it right. Okay, good. Third place, Miss Natalie Goodman. And then fourth place, Elisa Bowersox. Last but not least, I'd like to recognize their advisor and Mitchell Community College instructor who does an outstanding job for us and our students, Miss Peggy Haynes. To get a picture of the winners from CAT, Skills. While they're getting situated, I want to let everybody know that the first place winners from both West Iredell and Cats will compete in Louisville, Kentucky at the national contest, which is at the end of June. So we're looking forward to that. Again, it's an honor to recognize the students from West Iredell High School, and I'd ask Mr. Palmer if he would come up and help me present these certificates, and I should say board members too, if you would like to come up. Thank you, Mr. Rogers. They're in order. Again, these students competed at the North Carolina Skills USA state competition and won. We had a team of 3 girls that competed in the bulletin board and presentation. If you don't know what that is, they had to design a poster based around a theme, and then they also had to defend it. So they had a team of judges that questioned them about it. So it was kind of like an interview, so it was pretty intimidating, and they placed 4th overall. Those young ladies were Nicole Ryan, Julia Williams, and Savannah Laws. Very proud of these next 2 folks. They won first place overall in debate. Well, I hope I don't miss them up. This is Nyan Miller. Did I say that right? Nyan Miller. And also I'd like to recognize Michael Ashley. He's been up here before. Again, both of these gentlemen will represent West Iredell High School and Iredell-Statesville schools at Louisville at the national contest in Kentucky. So, congratulations, young men. Also want to thank Miss Wendy Lane. She's their advisor, and she couldn't be here tonight, but I really appreciate her working with these students. It's paid off.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Odyssey of the Mind, Miss Kelly Henson. And you'll also have robotics and chess teams. Boy, you.
Good evening. Iredell-Statesville Schools had 6 schools participate in Odyssey of the Mind regional competition this year. Odyssey of the Mind is an international program that provides creative problem-solving opportunities for students. Team members must work together to develop innovative solutions to solve problems. Odyssey of the Mind students are asked to think creatively and outside of the box. They may demonstrate their solutions through building, creating, acting, and or presentation. Many of the ISS teams moved forward to compete at state level. Woodland Heights Elementary placed first on problem number 3 titled Classics, Mockumentary Seriously, at both regional and state level, and will now move forward to world competition at Iowa State University on May 23rd through 26th. Congratulations to the following students that will represent Woodland Heights and ISS at OM World Competition. Students, if you'll come forward when I call your name, and I don't know if I could get a board member to come forward and help hand them their certificates.
I'm telling you, I'm proud of them. I'm going to do it.
All right. They should be in the right order. They should be in the right order when I call their names.
We couldn't even find our bill.
So, Odyssey of the Mind. There we go. All right, so we have Arjun Patel. Landon Bruck. Ronan Connolly. Ada Saki. And Brody McBride. We also want to say thank you to the coaches that work all year with these students. If these coaches are here, they could also come forward. Amy McBride, Megan Fairchild, and Adrian Berkowitz. On May the 3rd and 4th, Iredell-Statesville Schools hosted the District Robotics Tournament at the Iredell County Cooperative Extension. ISS worked together with the First LEGO League throughout the school year to bring students the opportunity to participate in specific robotics-based curriculum, as well as official ranking tournaments throughout the state. Iredell-Statesville Schools was a host site to an official tournament at West Iredell High School during November. This year's curriculum theme was hydrodynamics, and students were asked to program robots to interact with a field of obstacles that explore location, storage, usage, and movement of water. We celebrate that 52 teams representing middle and elementary schools throughout our district participated at First LEGO League and competed on our ISS tournament. The competition was divided into interview and robot games. The interview component asked students to rotate in front of 3 different interview panels and discuss their ability to work together as a team, program and design their robot, and problem solve a real-world issue. The robot games component allows students 3 robot runs of 2.5 2.5 minutes each to complete as many missions as possible on the robot field. Our high school students from FTC First Lego team at South Idle High School and the Elemental Dragons team at CCTL trained and served as referees and judges for the competition. 13 awards were presented on each competition day. However, tonight we recognize our middle school and elementary team that received the highest recognition and honor of the Champions Award. To receive this award, you had to hold highest scores in the interview component, as well as score in the top 40% of the robot games. These teams also had to demonstrate what First Lego League calls gracious professionalism throughout the competition. Congratulations to, and if these students would come forward, Sharon Elementary School Team Thunderbots, coached by Jamie Iglesias and Amy Lynch. Coaches, come forward if you're here. So if Mr. Johnson wants to come forward, we have some Thunderbot certificates up there. And the students that represented this team were Diego Soto, Alberine Hernandez, Lillian Ricky, Lauren Alford, and Thomas Julian. Mr. Johnson, if you just hold tight, we have our middle school team from East Idle Middle School, the Taco Kings, coached by Victoria Goldrick. So Taco Kings, if you want to come forward. I was told this team got their name because one half liked Taco Bell, the other half liked Burger King, so they became the Taco Kings. Representing the Taco Kings are Salvador Flores, Jacob Blankenshire, Jesus Guevara, Derek Hun, and Jimmy Torres Salas.
I would like to say I made the event last year. If you want to see a competitive group, you go out and see these kids doing these robots. They are focused. It's amazing to see what they do. It really should be on television. I mean, it's that good of competition. Thank you.
Iredell-Statesville Schools supports chess clubs throughout the county. South Iredell High School has had an amazing year in their club, earning many awards and recognitions. The following details some of the highlights from the amazing year. January the 13th and 14th, South Iredell had 5 students, Carson Cook, Paige Cook, Rolando Dorbecker, Pranav Swarna, and Mason Sims, compete in the Southern Scholastic Regional Competition at West Charlotte High School. All grades 9th through 12th competed in one section as individuals, with the school's team score being comprised of points scored by the top 4 individuals of a given school. South Iredell High received the 3rd place trophy. February the 24th and 25th, South Iredell High School had 6 students attend the North Carolina Scholastic State Chess Championship. Sections were divided by United States Chess Federation rating of under 1,500 and championship section above 1,500 USCF rating. Carson Cook finished 14th in the championship section. In the under 1,500 section, Paige was undefeated with 5 wins and co-champion K through 12 under 1,500. Pranav Swarna finished 5th place with 4 wins. Rolanda Dorbecker finished 7th place with 3 wins and 2 draws. Charlie Appy and Mason Sims contributed victories, landing South Iredell High in the first place team position for K-12 under 1500. April the 27th through the 29th, 8 South Iredell High School students traveled to Columbus, Ohio for K-12 Scholastic Chess Nationals. Nearly 1,400 students competed. Carson Cook finished tied for 8th place in the under 1900 section. Carson had no losses, 3 wins, and 4 draws amongst fierce competition. In the under 1600 section, Rolanda Dorbecker, Pranav Swarna, and Paige Cook competed against other 4-person teams, and with only 3 of them available to score points, finished as the 26th place team under 1600 at Nationals. Rolanda had strong performance, scoring 4.5 out of 7 possible points, finishing tied for 39th place, and Pranav also strong with 4 wins, finishing tied for 69th place. The largest section under 1200 saw Charlie Appy finishing tied for 17th or more of more than 400 competitors. Charlie had 5 wins, 1 draw, and only 1 loss, bringing home a trophy. Joseph Moore joined Charlie with 3 wins in the under 1200 section, allowing their 2-person team competing against teams of up to 4 players to a 60th place team finish. In the under 800 section, Mason Sims showed a great first nationals effort, scoring 4.5 points of 7, finishing tied for 55th in one of the larger sections. Brett Sims contributed wins, allowing the brother team to tie for 50th place team in the under 800 section. Carson Cook held 2 chess tournaments at Lakeshore Elementary School and raised money to pay the entry fees of all of these South Iredell High School students to these 3 major chess events. Carson plans to take an exam to attain his own USCF tournament director's license and hopes to hold more chess and fundraising events to support competition efforts for South students during the final year of his high school this fall. Tonight, we'd like to honor South Iredell High School chess team and celebrate all of their accomplishments. Students, please come forward. So the certificates are up here. I need somebody to come up. And again, these students are Carson Cook, Mason Sims, Charlie Appy, Rolanda Dorbecker, Pranav Swarna, Paige Cook, Joseph Moore, and Brett Sims. Congratulations.
Sit down.
Congratulations. Good job. Sam, this is Carl.
I just want to say thank you. Ready to go to 2009. That's amazing. Mention that.
While they're going down, I just wanted to congratulate Carson Cook. I recently was able to attend his getting his Eagle Scout Award, son. That's very good. Thank you.
I wondered if any of them remember Bobby Fischer, the great chess player.
They don't have a clue.
He said, yes, I know.
Well,
he said, I know who Bobby Fischer is. Yeah.
Good evening, Mr. Page, Mr. Johnson, Board of Education members. Tonight we'd like to honor some of our winter athletes for conference, regional, and state honors. First of all, from Lake Norman High School, and these students are present, or an athletic director or administrators, please come up. Will Edmonston of Lake Norman High School for being recognized as the 2018 North Carolina High School Athletic Association 4A 113-pound state champion in wrestling. And Mr. Page, I apologize. Could you help me with the certificates as they come up from Lake Norman or someone, whoever? Thank you. From Lake Norman High School, we have Nate Duggan for being recognized as the 2018 North Carolina High School Athletic Association 4A state champion at 182 pounds. From Lake Norman High School, we have Caden Fisher for being recognized as the 2018 North Carolina High School Athletic Association 4A All-State Wrestler. Caden Fisher. And from Lake Norman High School, Corbin Howdashell for being recognized as a 2018 North Carolina High School Athletic Association 4A All-State Wrestler also. Spencer Evans of Lake Norman High School for being recognized as the 2018 North Carolina High School Athletic Association 4A Indoor Track and Field Pole Vault Champion. Desiree Mangaskin, Lake Norman High School for being recognized as the 2018 North Carolina High School 4A All-State Swimmer. Yes. This concludes all the ones from Lake Norman High School. Okay, from North Iredell High School, we have Nick Hampton for being recognized as the 2018 North Carolina High School Athletic Association 3A 220-pound state champion runner-up. Nick Hampton. And from North Iredell High School, we have Jonna Strange for being recognized as the 2018 North Carolina High School Athletic Association 3A Indoor Track and Field 3,200-meter state runner-up. And from North Iredell High School, Daniel Nicholson for being recognized as the 2018 North Carolina High School Athletic Association Indoor Track and Field Pole Vault runner-up. And if we have any members of the women's basketball team from North Iredell High School, anyone here from North Iredell? But North Iredell's women's basketball team advanced to the fourth round of the state 3A championships. That's it.
So, Gay,
are there anyone from Statesville High School? Coach Hayes. Statesville High School, their men's basketball team advanced to the 2018 North Carolina High School Athletic Association 3A State Basketball Tournament, and their women's basketball team also advanced to the state 3A basketball tournament. And from Statesville High School, Jason Schufert for competing in the North Carolina High School Athletics Association 3A State Wrestling Tournament. And Tony Panetta, Statesville High School, for being selected to represent Statesville High School and North Carolina in the Clash of the Carolinas in soccer on June 30th, 2018. It's in this stack in that last.
Those are all north. One right there. There you go. That power there. Those are all north. North. Put them right there.
Okay, I'm not. Okay.
No, go under south and you'll find it.
Go under south. Keep going. You'll find them.
Yeah. Tried to hide them from you.
He might be south.
Evidently not.
Okay, gotcha. And for South Iredell High School, Colson Zucker, for being recognized as the 2018 North Carolina High School Athletic Association. He was a 2-event state champion in swimming, 4 years All-Conference Male Swimmer of the Year, and 4 years All-County Male Swimmer of the Year. Colson Zucker.
You don't leave till Susie says.
Okay, for West Iredell High School, Landon Shuford, for being recognized as Landon was recognized as the Northwestern Foothills 2A Conference Wrestler of the Year, 2A Midwest Regional Champion, and 2A State Runner-Up at the 126-pound weight class. And Bernard Briley of West Iredell High School.
Bernie.
Briley finished third in the state in the 55-meter relay and finished third in the state in the 300-meter.
Hey, Bernie. Chase said he could outrun you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Armstrong. Now, elementary school battle of the books, middle school and high school battle books. Dr. Blattner. You don't
No there.
I'm sorry.
Clearly, I am not Dr. Blattner.
We figured
because
that
I
out.
would never.
He's a lot taller than you are.
He is and has better eyes because I use the AARP font, and he did not. So I'm going to ask Jill Inscore to come up here because I can barely see the names of the. Oh, wait, oh no, over here first. Yeah, they are, but I need you to help me.
You want readers?
Just a second. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I got backup. I had LASIK, and so each year, according to Dr. Blattner, we have elementary schools from around the country around the county, come together to compete against each other, answering questions on 15 books. Go ahead.
The winner of this event goes on to represent us in the regional tournament. This team represented us well and won the highest level, coming in first at regionals. We're very proud to present to you Celeste Hinkle Elementary School. And let me add to that, this is the first time we've ever placed, so I am extremely proud. And my fifth graders were on the team last year. We missed first place last year by 1 point, and they were determined to come back this year, and they won and went to regionals and won that too, so I'm really proud of them. And my other half, Tracy Gallion. And you can present those certificates if you will, please. For the team members who are here, I believe it's Braylon Dorman, Lily Furry, Bella Gallion, and Wyatt Weddington. We're missing Willow Evans and Kelton Braham and Izzy Smith. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. You taught them how to read, right, Chet?
Dana, is Dana Gillis here? Yay. We're going to do that again.
I'd like to recognize retired Principal Mr. Weddington at the back. One of those was yours, child. Glad to have you here.
You're welcome so much. So I would like to introduce the Mount Morn team. This is the first time that Mount Morn placed first in our district, and we went on to the regionals and placed third. So we were very proud of our efforts as well. Our team is Krishna Ara, and you can just come up when I call you, Joey Allen, Alex Baker, Riley Baumgartner, Sahidi Chintala, Owen Christian, Lauren Gregg, Ava Heidemann, Harrison Nance, Amritha Pramod, and Colleen Reynolds.
It'll be right there, no, right there in the middle.
That one.
Coach is Dana Gillis. Is that right?
You're tired.
He said he never read that many in his life. Cliff notes. Really? They gave us books we didn't have to. Oh, yeah.
And now, since that went so well, Karen Van Vliet is the coach for the high school. So she with her glasses. It's pollen. It's like everybody looks like Doris Day. They're all fuzzy.
Great.
I know.
So this was the very first year that the North Carolina School Library Media Association, who funds and operates the Battle of the Books competition, actually put together something for high schools at the state level of North Carolina. So in our inaugural year, there were only 2 high schools that competed this year. We had to read 15 books in preparation for the event. It was a showdown between Lake Norman and ourselves. We competed all very well. The students did a great job making it a wonderful first tournament. We're really encouraging the other high schools in the county to compete next year with us. And so the winner of our high school Battle of the Books is South Iredell High School. And I do have several of my team members here tonight, but we do, part of the team was Maddie Scott, which I'm glad she was able to participate because she did it at the middle school level and she was a senior this year, so she was glad to do it. Isabel Passant, Henry Young, Anna Rode, DJ Cook, Falua Ajabibi, Wyatt Nance, and Shashank Cannon.
Mr. Abbott, come up here and get in that picture.
Also known as Karen.
Come on.
Thank you. That ends our recognitions for the night, which is always the best part of the meeting. At this time, the board will take a 10-minute recess. Thank you. Get my board members to start their trek back up here.
Wow. Might be that little speech we gave last week at the cow meeting. They all decided to come. Yeah. That was kind of good. Wow. Empty. Almost.
At this time, we'll move into our non-consent agenda. Our first is Susie Weiberg on early college calendar. I noticed on the sign-up sheet we had one person that signed up to speak on this subject. I will ask the board for permission to allow this person to speak at this time. If it's unanimous on the board, we'll move forward and allow him to speak. Mr. Lilly, I believe you had signed up. For respect for you, we're going to let you to speak before we vote on that. Our time clocks are not working, so Ms. McCary will give you hand signals, and then she will.
And they're all good ones.
And the last one is questionable. When she throws something at you, it's time to duck.
I got you. I got you. Well, first of all, I just want to take a second to not take this lightly. The freedom that we have to speak in front of our public officials without threatening anyone shooting me or anything. So I just want to make sure. I think this is really cool. Thank you very much. I rarely do this. So anyway, I had a whole lot to say, and it was about 5 pages, and Terry, I had to cut it down. So first of all, my name is Tony Lelly, and I'm a member of the CCTL Early College faculty. These are my personal thoughts and ideas as an educator and a citizen. What I want to present to you is that the 11th month calendar approval is not just budgetary, but it speaks to the value that is ascribed to education by this board. I'm the last member of the original CCTL staff, and I remember back in 2004 when I was first told of the 11th month requirement. Like the members of the of Lake Norman High School that Keith General referred to at the Cal, I was conflicted about losing a month's vacation. It took a while, but I began to see why the visionaries of the early college model included the 11th month requirement. Over time, we have seen many student successes, and I'm not speaking about the statewide recognitions and the local best of in the Charlotte area school accolades and all that stuff. I'm talking about seeing students diagnosed with Asperger's and Tourette syndrome succeeding in a mainstream classroom, then walk across the stage at graduation. There have been lots of stories like that over the years. So, Mr. Page, by advocating for us to do that for less money, tells me that you don't think that it has a high enough value to merit the pay that we receive. Or more specifically to your point, sir, we should willingly sacrifice the 11-month pay in order to keep from firing two more teachers elsewhere, as you put it. But if it's a choice between firing teachers and spreading the pain, as you put it, then members of the Board of Education, the stewards of Iredell County education system, I see it as your duty to fire the teachers. Now, Mr. Gallion, how's that for a strong message to the county commissioners in support of education? As I would also let them know that for every X dollar amount that they cut from our allotment, I would deliver to them the name of the person that we had to let go. And then I would keep a tally on a bulletin board downtown along with their names of the county commissioners until they got the message to do something positive about our allotment. Now, let me be clear, please. I'm in no way in favor of firing teachers. I think that we are in agreement that it doesn't have to be a question of keeping the early college calendar versus firing teachers, but they understand unemployment numbers, and we need to share our pain. They don't have any idea the significance of reducing the early college planning calendar. But they know people. Now, I know that firing teachers is a difficult position for you to take, Mr. Page, and I do appreciate that you take it personally with the position that you're in. But, sir, being on the Board of Education, you are expected to be able to make difficult decisions. So now, I want to attempt to put a face on who gets fired. As a lateral entry teacher, I've experienced both getting fired and doing the firing multiple times on both sides. And with the wisdom of hindsight, in too many years that I can count, those very difficult times changed the entire course of my life for the better. Each time, those termination decisions were made based on the strategic position of the company. And although for me it felt to the contrary at the time, those decisions were not personal, but in the best interest of the company. So that leads you to the question. If faced with the choice of removing the 11th month from the early college, faced with the choice, is removing the 11th month from the early college in the best interest of education? While it's clear that the board sees the success of the early college model and is eager to replicate its success by increasing the current number of early colleges from 3 to possibly 5 or 6, well, as my dad used to say, you can't expect to eat steak on a hamburger budget. If you want the success of the early college model, then you just can't arbitrarily discard the 11th month as a non-essential part of the model just because it's too expensive. Gentlemen, we've been doing this for a long time, since 2005. We know how it works, and we're good at it, and we've been successful, and it works. Why? It would be a shame if you refuse to honor our recommendation. You know, I want to wrap this up, and I appreciate just a little extra time. I want to wrap this up with a concrete example from Iredell-Statesville schools. The one-to-one computer model for the district was first organized at CCTL by David Blattner when he was our principal. Now, these computers are a very important part, an integral part of our daily success at CCTL. And I know of some teachers in the traditional schools who really struggle to allow the students to use the computers in their classrooms. And I get it, because they can be more of a distraction if the teacher has not properly planned to use them. At CCTL, from the beginning, we deliberately planned and continue to plan for the incorporation of those devices into our curriculums. And you could probably guess that the lion's share of that planning takes place in the month of June. So look, I'll summarize. At CCTL, we hold great value in what we do. The parents value what we do. The students value what we do. We desperately need you, as our Board of Education, to fully value what we do. And I don't mean, excuse me, and I don't mean just showing us on Teacher Appreciation Day. We need you to demonstrate your commitment to the continuing excellence of the early college programs by voting to approve the early college 11-month faculty calendar. Thank you.
Thank you. Board members, Ms. Weiberg, let you.
How do you do?
You've brought the calendar. You're recommending this calendar, is that correct?
I'm sorry, are you looking
you're here
at the early college calendar?
Yes.
Yes.
We need to make a vote on the early college calendar.
Right, and Mr. Chairman, may I make a comment before you open it up for discussion from the board members? I just want to remind everybody that, gosh, doing the budget is hard, and it does call for sacrifice and tough decisions. You know, for about a decade now, we've been reducing our budget every year, and it's almost become commonplace in our school system that every May we start cutting something else out of out of our school system. As you guys wrestle with this decision tonight, I do want to remind you about a couple of things that may help you process this decision. First of all, I think I've shared with all of you that, we were projected this school year to use $1.7 million in fund balance. At this time of year, we project that use of fund balance this year is going to be a little less than $1 million. So that's a celebration for us. And lots of people made that happen. We also received some good news last week. We're anxiously awaiting that period of time on upset bids on our computers that we have up for sale. We have received an indication that there is going to be a bid. We had originally thought that the first bid we got was $1.7 million. We was hoping to get $2.1 million. I don't see Melissa out there, but I don't think we've officially received the upset bid yet, but it's promising that we are going to get an upset bid on those computers, so we've got our fingers crossed for that. It's leaning that way. The other thing that I would ask for you to consider tonight as you wrestle with this is the comment that was shared with me by the acting county manager, Beth Jones. A few weeks ago, she met with myself and Steve Mooney, the superintendent of Mooresville Graded, and she said, here's your budget, wish it could be more, this is a tough year for us, the county. And then she admonished us, don't make any rash decisions this year with your budget that you'll regret, because she's very confident that next year, after property values are reevaluated, that the revenue for the county should go up. And she felt very confident in saying that, our funding from the county will look better next year. So again, her advice to us was, be very careful when you're cutting your budget. Don't do anything that you'll regret. So with those three things in mind, I would just ask you to very carefully look at this. These early colleges are model schools, and they get great results, not good results. They get great results. They get 100% graduation rates. They keep a lot of kids in our district that may leave and go to other choice options. So if there's any way that we could avoid this, I would ask you to carefully consider that. Thank you.
Is this what we're discussing, right?
No, haven't had a motion yet.
Is there a motion?
No, sir. No motion.
You can discuss it.
No motion
You can
yet.
discuss, you can discuss
Okay.
it.
Yeah, we can still discuss it.
Discuss without a
Let
motion.
me say, I personally, I don't understand why we're even discussing this. This is something that was put into place. We started these programs with an 11th month attached. That was a part of what we did. We proposed this with the state. We proposed this with everybody. We proposed this with our teachers. We've proposed it with our students, and we put the 11th month in. Now, I don't like to take something away from our teachers. I'd like to have 11 months for all of our teachers. This is just a beginning.
I'd entertain that motion, Mr. Kelly.
You'd entertain the motion?
To have 11-month fall teachers.
Yeah, right. Yes. Yes, that's what we're working for.
Is that in form of a
so
motion?
So we're working for 11 months for all teachers. I don't want to go here and take 11 months away from the ones we already have. That's what I'm saying. And just like he just said, and like anybody could say, look at the success of our program now. We can read a letter and we can talk to the people and we can talk to their administrators and their teachers and their students, and they'll give us all of the reasons why they are successful. But I have a feeling that one of the real reasons that they are successful as they are is that 11th month. That's got to be at least one of the reasons. So to come in and pull that out at this point, when I'd like to have it in all the schools, I don't want to come back in later and put it in all them schools just for these three. No, I want to leave these the way it is. If we propose a new college program, we would have an 11-month system there too. We already have it in the 3. Let's keep it. Now, you talk about the budget. It's like Mr. Johnson just said. I don't. Whatever about the budget. And I've said this before, if it's in there this year, it should stay in there for next year. That's been in there for at least 3 to 5 to 8 years. Leave it in the budget. Find something else if we have to cut something else. Find something else to cut if we're looking at cutting. But like I said to start with, I don't know why we're discussing this. This should be a non-discussable item because we should leave it where it is. Success of the program would show us that.
So is your motion to accept the calendar presented?
Does this calendar have the 11th month in it?
Yes.
Then that's my motion. If we're ready to make a motion, Mr. Chairman, I'll make the motion.
Floor's open anytime.
I'll make the motion that we accept the calendar as it is for the 11th month and pay the instructors 11 months. Is that okay?
Motion. I have a motion second to pay early college for the 11th month. The three early colleges, the 11th month in June. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to say a few things. I've gotten numerous emails over the past 6 weeks or so, or less, both ways. But it seems that we always ask teachers to make the sacrifice and students to make the sacrifice. And that's not the way it should be. So I go back and I say to the board, there are teachers that were hired and told you will get this extra time. And I want to honor that, even though we had to pick up the pay. Let's find somewhere else to make a cut so it doesn't hurt our teachers and our students. Thank you.
And I'm gonna say something, and I'm not gonna get personal. The budget's the hardest thing we have to deal with. The reason that this was one of the areas that was looked at originally for some possible cuts was the fact that the state has reduced their money. I want to make that perfectly clear, not the local government. The state's reduced their money about $150,000 per local college. The state also no longer requires them to attend the Summer Institute during that month. Now that it's been made that I personally evidently hate this school, I'm against this school, which I'm talking. Excuse me. I am talking.
But somebody told you that you hated the school.
Well, I've been told a lot this week I hate children, so I'm not in the best mood in the world. A lot of teachers have told me that. A lot of teachers have told me they hate me. But anyway, okay,
that's unreal that somebody told you that you would hate the schools or the students.
Well, I have been told that many times this week by teachers.
I'm sorry.
I can even tell you some. I mean, I'm not going to go there and tell you who they were, but I'll take you to some of them that told me. That's beside the point. And that's not over this. This is not your teachers. This is over the Wednesday. But the only thing is, I'm trying as chair to look at budgets, and I've met with Mr. Johnson many times. These are three of my favorite programs. I've been lobbying, trying to get two more. It's up to the board how we make those cuts. It bothers me we don't have enough money. We need to. I wish I would put your efforts into lobbying Raleigh to give you funding back to you. That's where you need to spend your real energy. Please lobby the legislators to refund, to give us back that $150,000 per school that they've taken away. It's not easy. I don't want to lay anybody off. I don't want to do anything that hurts our teachers. As soon as this is over with, I'm going to ask for a motion to give whatever this board gives to y'all. I'm going to ask for a motion that we give that same to every teacher in the system, because that's what I support that. Every teacher deserves it. So, but anyway, the motion's out there. Is there any further discussion?
The only thing I'd like to say is we have looked at the budget, and I came in here with going to make a motion to give you 2 weeks to meet both ways, because we know how important, and we can see the scores and the benefits of what these early colleges are doing, and especially with the new early colleges starting up, they definitely need time for strategy, because the teams are just forming. Not to say that the ones that already been there are there. But with looking at the majority of the board members looking at that time, and we'll make the money up somewhere else. That's where we'll make it up, at least in my mind. But it's not lightheartedly that we have to extend that and not cut it back, because it's money that we're not going to be able to have somewhere else. And but we understand the successes that are there, and we wish we can incorporate more of those back into the other schools, and that kind of thing, and especially the ones that are trying to the students that don't go to your school. So we support both of them. And last thing I'm going to say is, I don't know of a person on this board.
Three, not both, all three.
I don't know of a person on this board that's more behind students and teachers than Martin Page.
Three.
So I just want to make sure. Some people accuse him of the wrong thing. His heart's in the right place. He's trying to do the right thing. He's in a tough position being the chair of this group. And sometimes the truth hurts. You know, when we sit down and say we got to cut something we really like, that's what we got to do. But that's kind of where we're at right now. We're making tough decisions, and I appreciate the superintendent's remarks that possibly those monies will be there, and it'll help us relieve this a little bit to still give them the benefit of making that successful. That's all I have to say.
Well, I appreciate you making that comment, and that you did come. And tomorrow night the commissioners do meet here, so I appreciate that. And I'm glad to see the crowd here tonight. I'm glad of what you're doing. And I know the 3 programs we have are excellent. So, and I voted last year and got sort of chastised. Well, I thought you were going to save money. Well, you've got 3 good programs, and you're educating our children. You're doing a good job. So keep on doing it. It is tight, and money's tight. So, and honest to God, I don't believe I've ever heard a complaint on my email or to me of how y'all are running the other colleges, the 3 principals. And I know one of them's here. I can't. Are all 3 of you here? Okay. Two. Okay. Tough, Mr. Chairman.
It's a hard thing, and whatever the board decides, I'll be 100% for it. If we can find the money, we'll find. Something will have to give, but.
Call the question, Mr. Chairman.
Any other discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Unanimous.
Thank y'all for being here. Don't make it your last meeting.
All right, 1920 calendar. Ms. Weiberg, you just stay up at it today.
I know.
You're popular.
Wait a minute. Is that the same That's the same.
That's the same.
You need glasses again.
And the same.
You're on such a good roll. That resignation, you might as well stay another year. I mean, you're doing a good job here, and you're in a roll. So,
I try.
Y'all make a motion. We don't take a resignation.
We already made that motion.
Yep.
We discussed the results of the survey for the proposed 1920 academic calendar at the Committee of the Whole. The survey's been taken down, so there's no more input. The comments, as I told you, were all over the place, from yes, we love it, to what were you thinking? It's still 64% for and 36% not supporting.
Can you break that down, parent to staff, please?
If I could see this, Mr. Kennington, I certainly would. I did give this to you.
You got we got several pairs of readers. Can you?
I know. Afraid that eye drops would help. But it is broken down on the graph that I gave you in your packet last week. Thank you.
Lucky thinks I
so
can
it
see.
didn't change from last week?
Nothing's changed.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, 54% of the respondents were parents, 33% of the respondents were employees, 10% students, 3% other.
I think the only comment I had, anybody at all, was that they said, why 3 weeks at Christmas? Why not 2 weeks at Christmas and get out a week early? That's the only, and nobody said it negatively. They said why. So,
yeah,
3 weeks at Christmas.
How did we send out the information about the survey?
Press release, social media, website, email to staff.
Did we send anything to parents, Connect Ed or anything?
Connect Ed.
Okay, we did do.
Them towards the survey.
Okay, because I had a question. A parent called me upset today, and I'm like, I don't know how you just saw it because it's been out there, but wanted to know how we did it. Any other discussion, or do we want to entertain a motion?
No, I'd just like to say congratulations to the superintendent and his staff for coming up with a way that we could have exams before Christmas and not have the same thing that happened this year with snow, and it's rough on the students when they've been away from their studies for 3 weeks, and now we can get a semester over before Christmas and begin new when we come back. And it's a challenge, but y'all did a great job, I think. So congratulations.
I have a feeling, I have nothing at all in any way to back it up, but I have a real feeling of the 37% that said no. They were looking at the August, what is it, 1st? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that, when you get out of school, this next spring, when they get out of school at the 1st of June and have to turn around and come back at the 1st of August, that's not going to be good. But to get in, that first year, once we pass through the first year, it all evens out and levels out, and I think they'll really appreciate what's happening then. So I really think that's a lot of the negative vote. I have no way to back that up, but I have a feeling they looked at that and said, oh, God, what's that going to do?
Well, I can tell you I had a lot of phone calls when the survey first went live. And one of the prevailing questions it was from elementary parents. What benefit is this to us? And I said, it will be a benefit to you when your children reach high school.
And I will say, looking at the comments, there were a lot of comments from folks who had the misconception that this was going to be a change in the calendar for the 18-19 school year. Oh. And so there were quite a few folks that commented on that. They did not understand this is looking for the 19-20.
That also could have been part of it.
Make that clear, but apparently
Charles, is this the one we're going to go to jail on, Charles? Is this the one you've been wanting to vote on so we go to jail?
No, this was brought about because Mr. Kelly was ready to go to jail and form our own calendar because the state restricted our start and stop days. So this is our very intelligent staff coming up with a way around state law. That's all it is. And it's going to benefit our school system. It's going to benefit our children, and that's what it's all about.
Amen. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the calendar as presented.
Second.
Now you can have all that discussion we're having.
Hey, I've got a motion second to approve the 2019-20 calendar as presented. Mr. Kenyon.
Well, I just have a clarity question. The calendar, does it have to be approved by the State Board of Education?
All the state is telling us is that when Laura Elliott, who is in charge of testing and accountability, when she goes into the EDIE system at the end of this school year, she will input for not this coming year, but for next year, traditional calendar, year-round calendar. It's a box, and she checks it. After that, we really don't know because everyone else is the other districts that are trying this we're all sort of in the same boat.
So we have no idea at what point in time we might be notified of our acceptance of this calendar or our rejection of this calendar.
Aware of. I'm sure that we better have a plan in our hip pocket just in case.
That's where I totally agree with you because
there will be.
At what point in time then, do we have to turn around and say, oops,
never mind.
Been rejected, this is then the calendar. I just want to be proactive and prepared for that. That's just critical as far as I'm concerned.
I agree with Mr. Kennington. With that, we have to have a plan B, but also want to proceed with the calendar that I hope we agree on. If we don't hear anything, this is the one we use.
But the calendar committee will get together in September again and talk about this one, make sure that the graphics are good in case this is the one that we are allowed to use, and also make a plan for backup. That'll happen in September.
And I need to ask one other question because this is a question that I was asked. Are all of our school buses air conditioned?
No.
Do you know what percentage is?
I do not.
Do you?
Less than 5%.
Very few.
5%. And that was the concern, was the heat factor in August, the 1st of August. That might be some of the reason that there was 37% that voted against it.
Also, clearly, August is the only time to go to the ocean. To the ocean. Those were a lot of the responses.
Okay, that's still.
Can't go in July.
Yeah, it's closed.
May, June, and July
August,
are
the only
closed.
month it's open. Yeah.
Hurricane season starts June the 1st. But what we're going to do is, if it's Charles is going to take it for this board.
Yeah.
If we go to jail, he's going to serve
Going.
the time for
Well,
us.
change my jacket to stripes and take one for the group.
You're the one, Charles.
No, I believe this calendar, you go to jail Monday through Friday. They let you out on the weekends. This is one. Yeah, this is one.
Yeah, and you only start in August.
Call question, Mr. Chairman.
I have one quick question. Mr. Kelly, I'd entertain a motion to add 20 work days to this for our teachers.
Actually, I made the motion. Is that what you're asking?
Oh, yes.
What was your request of the motion? Add what?
20 work days for our teachers.
How many's in there now?
I'm talking about in
Additional month.
additional month employment.
You're talking about adding a month employment
Yes.
for every employee.
Yeah. Yes.
Which
For this
calendar?
motion, I'm not sure we want to do that.
Add it on this calendar.
Well, you can make that a substitute motion if you die.
All right, really, I'm serious about that.
I understand that.
We
I understand. Hey, instead of adding that to amendment, why don't we do this? Why don't we ask our CFO administration to give us a figure of what that would cost?
10 million.
Sir?
10 million.
How much?
Okay.
10.
Give us the number.
10 million.
Roughly 10 million, yes. All right. I've not heard of amendments, so we will move on. Any further discussion on the calendar? All those in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Calendar's unanimous. Move on.
And work days is next, Miss Susie.
Would it request that we look at that option at a calendar meeting?
Sure. Put it on there.
That's part of our budget.
Wouldn't have much.
Okay, Susie, this year's calendar.
The work days?
I believe what we've got to actually do on this one is to, you're talking about this Wednesday?
No, but we have the two
Oh, those two
protected
work days.
Work days,
Right. No, we didn't vote. We agreed on it, but we didn't vote.
Agreed on a process?
We need a motion to agree that we'll allow the principals to set their two protected work days. They have to follow a procedure, which means they have to have it approved by the SIT team and present it to the board.
Right.
That's what we need a motion.
I was going to say, Your Honor. So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Could you add a due date in there? When it is due to the central office and when it will be due, what board meeting it will be due at?
Plan to bring that to the board at the June board meeting. I've asked for it to be due by Friday the 25th, and we'll bring it in June.
Do we need to add that?
I would like to add that, Mr. Chairman.
Who made the motion?
I did, and yes, that was included. I was assuming that they'd have a system for it.
Well, we're really getting there tonight. But
I know, Mr.
I didn't introduce it, so you can actually change it.
Yes, I'll restate.
How about restate
I'll
it,
restate my motion that we allow the principals to pick those days through their SIT team, report back to us, and what was the component you were talking about?
June board meeting.
Right, instead of
We're changing
time.
Chuck. We're changing the
That's my
work days.
motion.
Second.
I would, before we vote, I would like to ask the superintendent that if we have principals that violate our trust, that be dealt with appropriately, please.
Absolutely, Mr. Howell, but we're going to make sure that nobody violates your trust. That will be our mission.
Any further discussion on that motion? If not, all in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Ms. Weiberg, before we leave this, we need to, Mr. Johnson, and I was assuming, which is bad, we were including the forgiving of time for Wednesday for our students. The board needs to approve that. Since that was in this year's calendar, I assume we were going to do that this time also.
Right. And so I guess what we need from the board is just simply recognition that Wednesday is a teacher workday now, and that we don't have any schools in jeopardy of not being in compliance with the state mandatory hours. So there is no need for a makeup day.
Right.
Board, what we need a motion that
You probably need to move to amend the agenda first, and then since you didn't put it on.
well, but this this is a 18-19. No, it's not. You're right. This is a 17-18. Right. Okay. We're going to have a motion to amend the agenda.
I make a motion to amend the agenda to include the makeup time for May the 16th.
I'll second that.
We've got a motion to amend the agenda to add C-A to declare the workday on Wednesday as a non-student day and an optional workday for teachers. So we'll need to vote on amending the agenda. All in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, no. At this time, we will amend our agenda to put C-A under Roman numeral 5 as discussion on the 17-18 now optional work day on May the 15th. And the chair, 16th, I'm sorry, 16th. I'm looking at wrong year's calendar. I'm going to be.
Do we need a motion now to just say that we are going to cover that with extended time period?
No.
We just need a.
We don't have extended time period.
No.
We'll be in compliance.
We are
in compliance. So why do we need a motion?
Because we have to do the calendar, and the calendar is wrong as it is.
That's our
It has been changed, so we therefore have to approve it. So we need to approve. We also have to forgive the time, Superintendent. We do that.
How about this, Mr. Chairman? I'd like to make a motion that we accept the superintendent's recommendation to make May the 16th a work day, and to not penalize any students because there's time already in the curriculum.
Forgive the student time.
The student time, whatever's appropriate.
Excellent motion. Do I have a second?
There's a second.
I've got a motion second to change May 16th to an optional work day and forgive the student time. Any discussion? All in favor? Oh, sorry.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Just for the press, I wish more teachers were here. I found a disturbing thing out that according to statistics, less than 30% of the teachers are registered to vote. Now, I'm not going to criticize anybody for exercising their rights to the First Amendment, but I would offer a suggestion. Teachers, as a group, you are powerful. Doesn't matter what you claim to be, right, left, in the middle, it doesn't matter. You have the same desires as all teachers do. Go to a national convention and listen to teachers. They talk about the same thing no matter what part of the world they're from. Join together. Have forums for your elected leaders or those that are trying to get elected. Ask the tough questions. If you would do that, you'd be surprised what would happen when the laws are voted on down in Raleigh. Thank you.
Any further discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. White, upset bid on computers.
Good evening. As we discussed last Monday, the technology department has received an offer of $1,725,500 to purchase used student and teacher iPads and MacBooks. These devices are available as a result of the board agreeing to refresh devices. So we have new devices coming in to replace the current existing devices. So we recommend that the board pass the resolution that you guys have that authorizes the sale of the devices using the upset bid process. So what this would mean is that the board accepts this offer to purchase and puts it out to the public, gives 10 days notice that if anyone wishes to upset the bid, if they meet the requirements as established by statute, then an upset bid will be accepted, and then we'll start the whole 10-day process again until we have no more bids and we have our final offer to purchase. If there are no offers, if there are no upset bids and the board accepts this particular offer, will be what the board agrees to sell the devices for.
We had a discussion at the committee of the whole meeting. Board members, any further discussion, or the chair would entertain a motion to approve the upset bid process.
Make a motion that we accept the upset bid process as outlined in the sheet that we have and the discussion that we've had. Because, I mean, that's a real something, okay? So I make a motion that we accept the upset bid process as outlined.
Got a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Got a motion second to approve the offertory and upset bid process as outlined by Ms. Wyke in this memo. Any further discussion?
If we get a higher bid, do you have to come back and tell us that, or do we have to vote on it again?
I can make the board aware of it, but you do not have to vote.
Okay.
You are authorizing us to work the process as outlined in the resolution.
Shoot the moon. That goes out.
Any other discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Thank you, Ms. White. Dr. Taylor, school fees.
Mr. Page, Mr. Johnson, members of the board, per policy 4600, all student fees must be approved by the board. The district requires a technology fee of $50 for all students in grades 6 through 12, and also requires that students who drop CCP, career and college promise courses without the principal's permission reimburse fees that are paid by the district. All other site-based fees were attached for review, and we did discuss these Monday evening last week. You can see there are very few required fees other than those two fees that we mentioned earlier. Most fees are optional depending on whether the student participates. Most schools also do have provisions in place to address these fees if the students do not have the funds available to pay.
Aren't these basically the same as they were this year?
Yes.
I think the key here is that we do have funds available for anyone that cannot afford it. I do not want any child left out of something.
I'll make the motion to accept the fee schedule as presented.
Second.
Got a motion second to accept fee schedule as presented. Any questions or comments?
The only thing that I would ask, so if a school during the year wanted to add a fee, would you then have to bring that back to the board at that time?
If it's a required fee for all students, that would need to come back before the board. If it were an optional fee for a field trip or something like that where students have the option, it would not.
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? All in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, no. School fees carry. Thank you, Dr. Taylor. Mr. Johnson, appointment to Mitchell County Board of Education. Community College Board of Education. Whoa.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Dr. Ralph Bentley has been representing the school system as a member of the Board of Trustees at Mitchell Community College since 1981, and I don't think there's anyone that would disagree that he has served in that capacity with distinction. That seat is coming available again, and we would like to recommend that the board reappoint Dr. Bentley for another 4-year term to the Board of Trustees for Mitchell Community College. You have a letter of support endorsing him from the president, Dr. Tim Brewer. So put that name out there tonight for your consideration.
Make a motion we accept your recommendation.
Have a motion and second to accept Dr. Ralph Bentley for appointment to the Mitchell Community College Board, and I know of no one that's more qualified for anything than Dr. Ralph Bentley.
Did you get a second?
Yes, I did.
I made a motion, Sam second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, no.
Note that was.
Yep, that was an easy one. All right, capital budget and target projects. Dr. Miller.
Thank you, sir. Chairman Page, members of the board, Mr. Johnson. You have before you, and we discussed this some at the Cal meeting, the proposed capital budget for 2018-19. I also put the budget for this year, 17-18, so you have some comparison data. We did have an increase in our capital budget, which we really appreciated that, but we have plenty of projects to do. You also have with it a work document, and that is a work document for the menu of projects that we're planning to attack this year. I'll be glad to answer any specific questions, but it's pretty much self-explanatory.
Yeah, I do. It's probably a pretty good guess that we're going to get additional money for security from the state this year.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you have any projects you want to use that for, particularly already on, in your mind?
We have an audit we've performed at the high schools, beginning with the high schools. Mike James is performing, and we also will do that at the elementary and middle. The projects at the high schools will be from the outside in, so we'll look at the outside perimeter of the school and then the access points or the entry points at the schools to beef those up a little bit. At the elementary schools, we'll be looking at some, and I don't want to mention exactly what we're doing, but we'll be looking at some ways to harden those entry points, particularly those with the glass areas. So those are the things we're targeting for this summer and fall. And if we get that funding from the state, it will help alleviate some funding from this budget. We do actually have some money in this budget in the contingencies.
I did meet a man, and I meant to bring his card to you, that has a cheaper door lock like Central has. You may have talked with him.
I think Mr. Johnson has also talked to him, but some of our folks have too.
It's a little less expensive, but it does just as good a job according to him. And I thought maybe I'll bring his card. You guys can take a look at that.
We've had several, and not to get off on a tangent, but what we have to do is we have to meet the fire code and the code enforcement codes. And as long as it meets those codes and is passed by the state fire marshal, we're open to look at it.
And I'll add to that. I know with the one we are using, it took almost 2 years to get it approved by the state for us to use it. So it's unless it comes pre-approved by the fire marshal and building codes people, makes it a little bit difficult. But I believe, Mr. Johnson, you were going to look into that.
Do you remember how many, when we did our DPI inspection with Kelly Groom, the new guy, our violations were down, I think, again, but he hit some issues, too, on our security. And do you have that final report? Did you ever get it from him?
He has not sent us the final report. He has had a sit-down debriefing. And a lot of we did reduce our discrepancies. A lot of the things were things that's always difficult to get teachers to do, and that because they want to hang all the artwork from the ceilings and put them on the walls. And so usually fire code gets us on those. But as far as the overall, he was very complimentary of our system and the condition that our schools are in.
I think Mr. Johnson, Sheila met him. He's taking over for Rick, who retired. I think he's going to do a good job.
I just wanted to comment that technology is up a little over $1 million from capital. Continues to be a large sum that we're pulling out of capital. Just make sure everybody's aware of that.
On these door lock things, and one school put them in, another school's put them in, another school is trying to raise funds to put them in. Do we have any statement to make to them, or are we making any statement to the different schools about whether or not they should not, or could not? Anything? Are we saying anything?
I would assume all that's being approved through
Yes.
Maintenance department.
Correct.
That nothing should be done to any of our schools without going maintenance.
That's correct. What we have encouraged the school groups that are raising money is to spend that money internally with the school. Cameras.
Well, this would be internally.
Yep, cameras, door locks, and those kinds of things, because each school looks at it differently. So we want to be sure each school has some input on that. So what we're basically telling them is we have to review it and approve it, and then they can move forward.
I would, and I had spoken to you one time before, and before school starts next year, I had recommended that we make sure all our exterior doors have locks, some sort of barricade-style locks, especially at our elementary and middle schools that have exterior doors to classrooms. A couple other things we had talked about that I would not talk about in public for security reasons. I hope we can, maybe you can give us an update in July on
Sure.
where we're headed with that. Hopefully we'll know by then what we've been promised a budget by mid-June at the latest from the state. So hopefully by mid-July or early July at our Cal meeting, we'll know more about what we're getting from the state. And
Right.
So if you'd put that on your radar, I'd appreciate it, sir.
Sure will.
We do. Chair would entertain a motion to approve the capital budget target projections for 18-19.
I'd make a motion that we do that as presented.
Go ahead there. I'll second your motion, Mr. James, for Dr.
All right,
Miller.
Mr. Gaines.
We have a motion and a second to approve the capital budget and target projections. Any further discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Thank you, Dr. Miller.
Thank you, sir.
But you're going to stay up here.
I will. And let me make one correction to your information packet that I laid on your table. The number of students that will be impacted by any kind of boundary changes actually will only be 4, maybe a couple of more students because we added a road or two. But it only affects the elementary boundaries. It does not affect the middle and the high school boundaries. So there's very, very few students that will be affected. What we're targeting with this is we're targeting those undeveloped areas that have projections for housing developments and trying to balance those numbers out. So we talked about this some at the Cal meeting, but I'd be glad to answer any questions or repeat anything that needs to be for the public.
But actually, at this time, looking at it that way, at this particular point, if you drew those lines right now, it would affect 4 students. But what we're saying is, if we draw the lines now, as those people start growing into that area, they'll already know which school they're going
Correct.
to be going to. Is that correct?
That's correct. And I would propose that this be put in place for students who enroll at the beginning of next school year, the new students, which in this particular case, most of your kindergartners register in the spring. So it actually would not affect most of the students next year until the following year. And what we would do here is we would, if the board chooses, is we will put this out for 30 days, similar to a policy, and give feedback from our community and our folks that may be impacted. I actually will send letters to each one of the landowners so that they'll know, and that gives them an opportunity then to respond back.
This area that we know there's one new development in there which is designed to have 482 single-family homes.
Correct.
It's going to really affect, and there's also room for more development in that area and will be expected as that area grows out. It is pretty much on the line between Shepherd and Lakeshore and goes almost over to the Troutman line. It has a road. We're basically taking a circle of a road that already has the Shepherd buses running on it and just making the circle instead of turning them around. This is preventative. As you can see, Lakeshore is almost at capacity, and Shepherd's about 280 under capacity. We're going to continue to be affected with growth in the southern end, but this looked like a proactive move that affected very few students, and any students that are affected, there's 4 we know of. There may be a few more, would be grandfathered and their siblings.
And that's an important part that I know Dr. Miller will be sure to overemphasize.
Right.
Need a motion for that, don't we?
We're going to, this is a first reading. Basically, we would like to put this out. I don't believe we need a motion. What we would like to do is,
I don't hear it. We got it black.
yeah, I know, it does.
Okay.
We would like for the press to make sure this gets out. Susie, something on our website. I mean, we need to, we're not trying to pull anything over anybody. We need to make sure that we do our due diligence with the public. That's my opinion. What board members, is that satisfactory with you guys?
It might be one of those things in which all the contacts that Miss Susie had with the survey, you might also send out this information.
Nobody living in there but 4 houses.
No,
Kenny's
mean,
going to write them a letter.
I mean, send it out so everybody, even more people besides they know, because that word's going to start circulating, and then they're going to wonder, is that me, is that you, my neighbor, who? So get the word out. I mean, I'm just...
I think it's just the ones that are affected, but that's just my opinion. Mr.
We'll send a letter to all property owners that will be affected so that they will know, even if they don't have kids in school.
Could we put this on our website, this map?
I would think so, yes. I'll get a little bit cleaner map when Kim Fox comes back. She's on vacation this week.
That way, then everybody knows exactly
where it is.
It's the same thing. Put everything out that we can so that if they have questions, we've got something to refer to.
Correct.
Have you seen the two projects Troutman's got too over on Autumn Leaf Road come back to Perth?
Right.
They got two of them that's cut through. One is 100 and the other is 150.
Right. There's quite a few down in that area.
1,900 homes.
1,900 roughly.
Area. And there's more than that planned. And all our schools in the southern end are just getting ready to get completely ran over. Scary.
Just briefly, last Thursday night they had their meeting, and I recognized Troutman Elementary, whoever was there. They brought that up about Falls Cove 3 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's booming.
I think it's good. We don't need them.
Okay.
Very good. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Proposed first policy reading, Ms. White. I believe you went over this with us at the Cal meeting.
This is policy 6420, first reading, contracts with the board. It has some language that just needed to be cleaned up. The main change is adding a dollar amount to the contracts that principals can approve for expenditure with school funds. We set that dollar limit at $50,000.
This is the first reading, does not require a vote. Any questions for Ms. White? Dr. Miller, thank you. Thank you. Dr. Miller, could we get the public comment? Is anybody signed up? Okay, very good. Since we have no other public comment, we'll have board member comments.
Mr. Chairman, I'll start it off. I'd like to tell you what a pleasure it was for me to attend, along with Mr. Kelly, Crossroads graduation. It was unbelievably nice. Just thoroughly enjoyed it. Very, very proud of all of the people there. Then we hurried to get to the campus of Mitchell Community College and the wonderful graduation that Mr. Kelly and Mr. Howell and I attended there, and how proud all of us were of that program. So that was just something I wanted to say. It's kind of special. Enjoy it. It was good to see the kids and the parents and how happy they were. So.
They're excellent programs. And then I really fought for the early college. So at North. So if I took things a little personal that I shouldn't, my support of our early colleges has always been 100%. They do an absolutely marvelous job, and I know a lot of the kids that go there from down in my area, and they get the best out of the students that they deal with. very good job. I'm glad you got to enjoy that, Mr. Kennington.
Well, I did. And the other thing that I'd like to piggyback on the superintendent's comment about the number of personnel that are hired out of local funds, and I don't profess to say that this is totally accurate, but in my counting, we have 269 people employed in the Iredell-Statesville schools that are paid out of local funds. You know, like I think a question was asked earlier, why we have this in the budget, increase in salaries. Well, I think the public needs to know that, close to 300 people are paid for out of that. And just to make the comment, the maintenance staff, the entire maintenance staff, 55 people, are paid out of local funds. So I just think it's important to get that out on the record.
Let me mention one other thing, too, about the graduations that we went to at Crossroads and CCTL. I'm watching these things, taking part in them, watching them, and really loving the way that the principals and the administrators have organized everything in such a very good manner that the kids come in, do their thing, everybody does their thing, and it's done so well. And the thing that you see more than anything else is that the students don't hate those teachers and the principal. They do not. I mean, they can stand up in front of them, and there's love going back and forth during the whole ceremony. And you're thinking, well, they must do something very well, or they wouldn't be acting like that. So it's a very good thing to be there and watch that interaction between the faculty and the administration, the principal, and those students.
It reminds me of my high school days where we had a 1 through 12 grade with 300 students. The principal knew everybody all the way through their entire career, and everybody else did too.
He also knew your brothers, sisters, and both your cousins.
He knew my parents too.
He knew your parents.
Yeah, so he got to know them real well my junior and senior year. But anyway, I think we're missing so much personal interaction when we have schools with 1,500 and 2,000 children in it. I long for the days of the neighborhood high school with 300 or 400 people in it, but that boat has sailed and sunk. So anyway, thank you.
Let me, you just brought up a memory there, I guess, about going to Troutman when Troutman was and Celeste Hinkle said the other schools were 1 through 12. There was no kindergarten. But you mentioned that. But I just thought about something. Whenever Troutman closed the last year, and a lot of you remember Joe Sinclair, but Ralph Sinclair was the principal of Troutman High School. There were 1,753 kids on the campus of Troutman. And I almost bet you that Mr. Ralph Sinclair knew everybody's family in Troutman at the time. So that's how things have changed. And you know what? He had no assistant principals. He had Miss Schoaf in the office at the front building, and he ran his from the second building where the middle school is, where Mr. Pasley is. But I was in that class. I was down there. I didn't graduate then, but a couple years later. But still, 1,753 kids on the campus of where Troutman Elementary and Troutman High School, Troutman Middle is now. So things have changed, but and I think that's probably the biggest problem is discipline. But anyway, that's a note from the 50 years ago, whatever y'all can. But that's unreal. But he did 1,750.
But my question now, exactly how many years did it take you to graduate high school?
It took several.
That's what he said.
I think that's funny you say that, but a lot of you know Keyhole Jones, and we're making the meeting go a little bit longer, but Keyhole Jones was one of our administrators, coached at Celeste Hinkle years ago. But when he graduated from senior high school, he went to school in the fall, played football, and then he dropped out after Christmas, the football's over, and came back. So he played about 3, 4, 5, 6 years maybe at senior high football before he finally graduated. I think he had to go in the Navy or the Army or something eventually, but, well educated.
Keyhole was so big, he could do that.
But what they don't understand, and I know Tanner's my neighbor, and he covers one paper and the other lady, but what they don't understand, and I've said this over and over and over, and I think Mr. Johnson's echoed this too, the public school system is still the backbone of this state and this country. And if people don't understand that in Raleigh or D.C. or wherever, they are missing the boat. I'm telling you, that's exactly where it is. And these people out here, all of you do a great job. We appreciate all of you. No matter what Martin says, we appreciate all of you. He's been getting the brunt of it. But
it's been beat up on me all week.
Sorry,
so just join the crowd. So, all right, any other board member comments?
One quick thing you're going to see, and I worked at the early release last week, I think we had it. You're going to see a program about Stop the Bleed. Karen Curley's taking the lead on this. I went and sat down with the nurses, and it's a new program that's coming up, and we're working on how we're going to get the funding from the outside. And I'm going to try to hit some funding like I did on the AEDs. We got those paid for, partially paid for. So you're going to be seeing about that again. They said a lot of the kids in some of these shooting incidents, they couldn't get to them quick enough, and some of them bled to death. So there's a new program out there, and the state of Georgia spent $79 million to put one of these kits in every teacher's hand in the state of Georgia. So you may be seeing that a little bit later, too. And that was the same day we also met with the ROTC about a military college. So that's
I was going to mention that.
That's still on the burner, too. So go ahead.
We did, board members, we did meet with our junior ROTC instructors, all of them, and they brought in a lot of things that we hadn't thought about. We would like to start an academy and eventually have maybe an ROTC school. We've looked into it. As I told you, one public school system not too far away in Richmond, Virginia, has an ROTC high school, and they keep it to about 400 students, and it has a waiting list. So anything we can add to give our children a choice is what the superintendent wants. So we are looking into this, and we've also gone as far as finding out that National Guard will supply uniforms for us and equipment, so and at no cost to the system. So we are in the process, and once we get some firm figures, we'll bring that back to you, and then the superintendent can take it from there.
Thank you. Mr. Johnson.
Hey, thanks, Mr. Page, board members. I'd like to give you a copy of a letter that I sent out to the staff today, and we're also sending that to our parents and the greater community. It's about the work day that we've scheduled for this Wednesday, and our teachers are going down to Raleigh to petition for some changes in public education. I'm very encouraged tonight to hear some of the comments from the board. Mr. Howell, you're exactly right. We need to vote. We need to register and vote. That's a sacred honor that we're not fully utilizing. Mr. Gallion, you're right, too. I can't think of an institution in our community that's more relevant and important than public schools. I've often said that as the health of the public school goes, so goes the community. And I think that it's imperative that our nation, our state, our local community supports public education. My letter, I was going to read it to you tonight, but it's lengthy, and I'm not going to read it. But I would like to go on record saying that I hope you will read it sometime. This letter is my opinions. It is my views, and it does not express the views of the Board of Education. You folks are entitled to your own opinions and views about what's happening this Wednesday. I will say this, though, that in my 38 years of working in public education, and in the time that I was a student in the public schools of North Carolina and Iredell County, I don't think I've ever seen our teachers exercise the right to petition the government in this way. And last Monday night when we was talking about this, one of the comments that I made was, everything's not okay in public education in our state. And I think that's what the teachers are trying to express. Now, we can debate for a long time over the tactic of using personal leave and shutting the school system down. I realize that has split opinions in our community over whether or not that's the right tactic or not. But the bottom line is this. Our teachers are trying to send us a message. And the message is that there are lots of issues that are making their jobs much more difficult. This is not just about a paycheck. This is about lots of issues that touch those classrooms on a daily basis. Board, you know, you and I have been frustrated with some of the things going on down in Raleigh. Things like the ABC report card and the formula that's used to grade our schools, and the fact that we've tried to get members of the General Assembly to address that. Wouldn't cost a penny. It would be an instant morale boost to our teachers, and yet it falls on deaf ears. I commend our county commissioners. They have struggled the last several years to increase funding to the school system, but you know what? They don't have the capacity to replace everything that's been taken away. Our county commissioners, too, are to be applauded for taking on causes like school calendar flexibility. You know, they passed joint resolutions with us and hand-delivered those to legislators down there in Raleigh asking for calendar flexibility that would not have cost a dime. And yet, those petitions were stuck and filed away in a desk drawer, and nobody acted on them. So I hope as our community approaches Wednesday, that everybody can withhold judgment on whether or not this was the right tactic, and let's just listen that day to what our teachers are trying to tell us. Because what they're saying is everything's not okay in public education. And we have a small window of opportunity to correct this before it does permanent damage to this institution that is one of the cornerstones of a free democratic society. Thank you. My closing comment is about Susie Weiberg. And if I'm not mistaken, this is your last board meeting. Is that right, Susie?
As an employee.
Yeah, there you go.
3 minutes every.
Yeah.
There you go.
So, Susie, I would say get that smile off your face. Susie Weiberg has been a part of this school system for a long time now. And she and her family came to this community when their child, Bailey, was in second grade, I believe. They popped in for a tour out at East Elementary School, and Emmeline Bellamy took them on a tour of the school that day. Now, David Rothel was the principal, but they thought Miss Bellamy was the principal. She was so enthusiastic about the school and so proud of the school. And so they enrolled their child there at East Iredell Elementary School. Bailey flourished in our school system. She went on to attend East Middle and Statesville High School. She went away, got a degree, came back, taught school for a little while, and recently finished graduate studies out at Vanderbilt, and she's working for a nonprofit there in Vanderbilt today. She's a point of pride, one of many, many kids that came through this school system and is flourishing and making all of us proud today. Susie's first work that she did for us was as a volunteer. She was a volunteer TA. She was a volunteer room mom. She had lots of volunteer roles there at East Iredell Elementary School. Somewhere along the line, Principal David Rothel asked her if she would like to be on the payroll and become a TA, and so she did that. And as the years went by, she continued to use that dynamic personality that she has to build relationships in the community. And so there was a point where my predecessor, Dr. Holliday, brought Susie to the central office as our coordinator of community partnerships. And she did that job masterfully for a lot of years. And it's impossible to put a price on the goodwill that this lady has built in this community for public education in the Iredell-Statesville schools. Back during the recession, we was cutting positions at central office. And one of the positions that we cut was the director of cultural arts. And so I approached Susie and I said, Susie, would you like to take on another job? And she jumped at the opportunity because she is an artsy person. She appreciates the visual and performing arts. And so she gladly took that role on. Even when I told her, now, Susie, there's no additional pay for this. You're going to have to do two people's jobs with no extra pay. Never heard a peep out of her. The recession continued, and cuts were made year after year after year. We had a vacancy in our public information office, and so I call on Susie again. Say, Susie, do you have the capacity to do the work of 3 full-time staff members? And so she gladly again took that role on at no compensation, and she has flourished. Today, Susie is recognized in our region by the other public information officers. She is well respected in that role. I will miss her tremendously. All of the staff will miss her. Our children will miss her. I hope, Susie, as the years click by, that you're not going to be a stranger, that you'll stay engaged and be the champion of public education that you've always been. And I thank you for your many years of devoted and dedicated service to our school system. Thank you.
That does lead to another budgetary question. How are we going to afford the 4 people it's going to take to replace her?
Yeah. Absolutely.
You're exactly right. Exactly right.
Tom said you're going to have to start delivering flowers when he does now. Something about a motor home. Y'all got it bought yet? Something about a motor home and y'all were leaving or something.
Mr. Chairman, under the announcements on June the 11th is the Board of Education meeting, and I know you will not be there, and I will not be there, and I didn't know if we wanted to combine the June 4th and July 11th meeting in one on June the 4th, or just leave it as is. I thought I'd just bring it up to the board.
I think that's up to the board.
I do too. That's
You know, I don't know what the.
Would it be possible to move the Cal meeting back to, say, 3 o'clock, and then have the regular board meeting on that night?
How much time do we have to give on a calendar change?
We started one at 4 one time.
Yeah, well, we got one in July. We start at 4.
Well, I mean, personally, I hate for staff to change a meeting because 2 members will not be here. But
yeah, who's not going to be here?
Sam and I won't. We will be in China.
That fall week,
oh, you're going with that group?
Yeah.
A lot of us have responsibilities with graduations and that stuff. So I'm just saying it's not like we're leaving us a day. I think if we can get the business done that week before, we still have duties that week with all the school activities that are going on.
Yeah, when our graduation's tonight.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
what
yeah. I mean, that totally up to the board. I would. A couple other board members have asked me about it. That's totally up to the board.
You making a motion, sir?
Do a combined meeting, start at 4 o'clock, and then have a regular meeting.
Do we need to add that to the agenda if we're going to make a motion?
I guess so, and I want to make sure, Kelly, that you check and make sure that the notice requirements of the combination of the meeting are followed. I don't know exactly what those are, but we can look at that.
Media 48 hours, and I can reach out to Katrina tomorrow to.
Okay.
The commissioners meet on the 5th, down here Tuesday. Somebody said.
Well, the next thing is figuring out where we'll have it at.
Would you like a motion to add something to the agenda?
I think it would be the only proper way to get into this discussion.
I'd like to make a motion that we look at combining our June meetings together and add that to today's agenda.
Second.
Got a motion to, I guess we'll go up here to J, add discussion of combining the June 4th and June 11th meeting due to the known absence of 2 board members. All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed, no. Unanimous. We'll discuss it. Floor is open for a motion or discussion.
Go ahead, Chuck. You were going to make a motion?
Well, yeah, like I said, our July meeting, we meet at 4, and it's a combined meeting also, so we could meet at 4 o'clock. And I don't know why, because there's no board. Commissioners meet on the 5th, so could we not meet here? I don't know why.
Reach out to Katrina.
We just meet here at 4 o'clock. and then have the regular meeting at 6. Cal meeting at 4, regular meeting at 6 in here.
As long as I can get the.
There would be a board meeting there would be on the 5th of the county.
Yeah,
on
commissioners.
the next day.
Commissioners here the next day, the 5th, so we can't.
So we
We'd have to do it on Monday the 4th.
Sounds good.
Okay.
4 p.m. you said.
Do I have a motion for that?
That's what I was making. Make
Okay.
a motion, we meet on June the 4th, 4 o'clock to 6 for our Cal, and 6 o'clock our regular meeting, and meet here.
I'll second that.
Okay. Got a motion to combine the June 4th and June 11th. I'm sorry. Yeah, June 4th and June 11th board meetings on the 4th of June here at the Government Center, beginning the Cal meeting at 4 and the regular meeting at 6. Any further discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. God, I thought I was going to get out of a meeting. Dag.
You did too.
You did get out.
Your traveling mate's the one that brought it up, Martin.
Do what?
Your traveling mate's the one that brought it up.
I know, Dag. I mean, man, somebody needs to sit here and sweat like this.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we adjourn.
Have a motion to adjourn and a second. Any discussion?
Out of order. He's out of order. Charles is supposed to make the motion.
Oh, I know. That's why I'm confused. Charles didn't make a motion. All in favor, aye. Opposed, no. Let's go home, people. Thank you.